Good morning students, welcome to the English class. I am Dr. Tripti Gupta from Shivjyoti Education Group Kota. Students, today we are going to take up chapter number 10 of your Moments book, The Beggar, written by Anton Chekhov. So students, before moving to our chapter, let us look about the author Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov was a major Russian playwright and a master of the modern short story. He was a literary artist of iconic precision who probed below the surface of life, laying bare the secret motives of his characters. Chekhov's best plays and short stories lack complex plots and neat solutions. Concentrating on apparent trivialities, they create a special kind of atmosphere, sometimes termed haunting or lyrical. Chekhov described the Russian life of his time using a deceptively simple technique devoid of obtrusive literary devices, and he is regarded as the outstanding representative of the late 19th century Russian realist school. So, this was about our author here. Now, let us students move to our chapter, The Beggar. So, students, our chapter here, The Beggar, as we can see the name, the lead character, the protagonist of this story is a beggar here. Okay, and as we can see, what induced that beggar Lashkov to change his ways. So, this beggar, he changed altogether his path of life, and the why altogether he changed is will be revealed in this story. Okay, so this story starts with a conversation of the beggar and our another character of the story, Sergey, who is then advocate. Okay, kind sir, have pity, turn your attention to a poor hungry man. For 3 days I have had nothing to eat. I haven't 5 kopeck of a lodging for God. For 8 years I was a village school teacher, and then I lost my place through intrigues. I fell a victim to calumny. It is a year now since I have had anything to do. So, the beggar here, he was been asking, he was been pleading, and he was been asking for help from our advocate, that is, he is Sergey. Okay. The advocate Sergey looked at the ragged, fawn-colored overcoat of the suppliant. Suppliant is basically he is a petitioner who is been pleading. Okay. Now, in this paragraph, see here there is a word used kopeck. Kopecks is like a smaller currency than ruble in Russia. Okay, these are coins basically, like we have paisa coins. Okay, in the same manner, so 100 kopecks is equal to 1 ruble, like this. Okay, so it's a currency. So he was been pleading and he was narrating his story that he was a school teacher and he just lost his job because of intrigues, means the conspiracies. Okay, and he was being the victim of some defamatory statements, like which just diminished his goodwill, and he was being the victim of that. Okay, so now he has nothing to do. So the advocate Sergey, he was looking at the condition of that beggar and how he was looking the rag, means all his clothes were being very worn off. Okay, and fawn color means they were being of very dull colored overcoat was there, and at his dull drunken eyes, at the red spot on either cheek, and it seemed to him as if he had seen this man somewhere before. So somehow advocate Sergey identified that man, that somehow he had seen this man earlier also. I have now had an offer of a position in the province of Kaluga. The mendicant went on. Mendicant means the beggar. Okay. So he kept on speaking, and he was been just adding to his story and what he was saying. But I haven't the money to go there, to get there. Help me kindly. I am ashamed to ask, but I am obliged to by circumstances. So he was just narrating that out of circumstances he has been forced to beg like this for help, and just he was asking the advocate Sergei to help him. Sergei's eyes fell on the men's overshoes, one of which was high and other low, and he suddenly remembered something. So he just had a glance on his shoes, and suddenly something clicked in his mind. Look here, it seems to me I met you the day before yesterday in Sodoway Street, he said, but you told me then that you were a student who had been expelled and not a village school teacher. Do you remember? Now, Sergei just recalled that he met this beggar earlier on another street. Now, and he told another story that he was a expelled student, and at that time he did not tell this story of school teacher, being a school teacher. No, 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 that can't be so, mumbled the beggar, taken aback. The beggar was a bit hesitant, and he just feeble, weak voice he was been saying, I'm a village school teacher, and if you like I can show you my paper. He was still trying to prove his story to be true. Have done with lying? You called yourself a student and even told me what you had been expelled for. Don't you remember? So Sergei was a bit, now he was being adamant to make him to remember that you are telling lie now, or were you telling lie at that time? Okay. Sergei flushed and turned from the ragged creature with an expression of disgust. So he was feeling very disgusted about that, why this man has been coming out cooking all different types of stories to for begging for asking alms. This is dishonesty, my dear sir, he cried angrily. This is swindling. I shall send the police for you. Damn you. Now, Sergei was being, he felt very offended, okay, and he felt that this man is a person who is cheating a person for some money, okay. Swindling means to cheat someone for of money. So he just asked that I will call police for the way you are cheating people, okay. And sir, he said, laying his hand on his heart, the fact is, I was lying. I am neither a student nor a school teacher. All that was fiction. Formerly I sang in a Russian choir and was sent away for drunkenness. So now that beggar, he comes out with his real story, and now he has been swearing that, see, my actual story is that I am not even school teacher or a student, but I was a singer in the choir. Choir is a group of singers who give the chorus support to the main singer. Okay, so he was in a Russian church where he was been expelled from that job because because of his drunkenness. Okay, he used to drink a lot. So because of that bad habit, he was been removed from that job. Okay, no one will give me anything when I tell the truth. What can I do? So he was justifying that why he was been cooking so many stories one or the other time, because he said that if I will tell the truth, nobody will give me alms. Okay, what can you do? You ask what you can do, cried Sergei, coming close to him. Work. That's what you can do. You must work. So Sergei was advocating that he should work rather than ask for help. Rather than begging, it is better that you try to find work. Work? Yes, I know that myself. But where can I find work? How would you look like to chop wood for me? So here Sergei has offered him a job that will you chop wood for me? So he was offering the job. I wouldn't refuse to do that, but in these days, even skilled woodcutters find themselves sitting without bread. So he was giving another set of excuse that even the skilled people, they are not getting job. How would I get the wood chopping job? Will you come and chop wood for me? Yes, sir, I will. Very well. We will soon find out. So finally, Sargi, because now Lashko, this beggar, he was being trapped in his own words, and because he said this, yes, I am willing to work. So Sargi offered him the work to chop the wood, and now he accompanied him. Okay. Sergei hastened along, rubbing his hands. He called his cook out of the kitchen. Here, Olga, he said, take this gentleman into the wood shed and let him chop the wood. So, Sergei here, he just moved and in a very quick manner, okay. Hasten means to move in a quick manner, okay. And he was rubbing his hand because it was very chilly winters, and he just asked his cook, Olga, to take this man inside the wood shed where the wood chopping was being done, okay. As if in perplexity, and went irresolutely after the cook. The scarecrow of a beggar shrugged his shoulders as if in perplexity and went irresolutely after the cook. So, basically that beggar is being so lean and thin like a scarecrow, and he was being, he just placed his shoulders back in a shrugged manner. He just went behind with a hesitation, okay, in a very puzzled state of mind, in lots of confusion what to do, and he was quite hesitant, and he was in a hesitant, irresolutely means in a hesitant manner, he just went behind Olga. It was obvious from his gait means the way he was been moving, okay, that he had not consented to go. Actually, he was very reluctant. He was not, actually he did not want to work, okay. The chop wood because he was hungry and wanted work, but simply from pride and shame, and because he had been trapped by his own words. It was obvious too that his strength had been undermined by vodka, and that he was unhealthy and did not feel the slightest inclination for toil. So, now he was not willing for working so hard. Toil means to go for okay. So, he was not at all willing, he was not well also, because his body was already been consumed because of his drinking habits, okay. So, he hurried into the dining room. From its windows, one could see the woodshed and everything that went on in the yard. Standing at the window, Sergei saw the cook and the beggar come into the yard by the back door and make their way across the dirty snow to the shed. So finally, Sergei was watching from his dining room's window, and he was seeing that both of them, Olga and the beggar, they were moving towards the wood chop shed, okay. Olga glared wrathfully at her companion. So she was being she was not having a good feeling about that beggar. She was filled with strong anger when she was accompanying that beggar. Shoved him aside with her elbow. Shoved means to just push him. She pushed him along. Okay. Unlocked the shed and angrily banged the door. So she was not altogether being willing to take that beggar and make him to chop the woods, because she was not finding him to a worth enough person. Okay. So next he saw the pseudo teacher seat himself on a log and become lost in thought with his red cheeks resting on his fists. Now, Sergei was been looking at the beggar, and he was feeling that he saw that he was been sitting on a wood log. The woman flung down an axe, Flung down means just to throw in a forceful manner. Okay. So, an axe at his feet, spat angrily, and judging from the expression of her lips began to scold him. So, Olga was altogether in a very fearful manner, and in a very fierce manner she was been just in an angry mood. She was been scolding him and making him to work. The beggar irresolutely pulled a billet of wood towards him, set it up between his feet, and tapped it feebly with the axe. See, the beggar, he just took a billet means a big thick piece of wood, okay, and he just placed it in between of his feet and tried to just put a jab of axe on that piece of wood. The billet wavered and fell down. It just jumped and it fell down to the next, and he was not able to chop it. Okay. The beggar again pulled it to him, blew on his freezing hands and tapped it with his axe cautiously, as if afraid of hitting his old shoes or of cutting off his fingers. The stick of wood again fell to the ground. So, this beggar, he again tried for the next second time, and he was again trying to chop the wood, which actually was not been happening, and he was feeling very cold and chilly at that moment. Sergei's anger had vanished, and he now began to feel a little sorry and ashamed of himself for having set a spoiled, drunken, perhaps sick man to work at menial labor in the court. So, Sergei, viewing all these things, he was feeling quite pity and sympathetic that probably he has forced this man who was not in a perfect state in a physical manner. He was probably must be sick or must be very weak, and he has put him to work in this cold season on this very tough and labor. Okay, so good, give him a half a ruble, said Sergei. If he wants to, he can come back and cut wood on the first day of each month. We can always find work for him. So, Sergei was being reported by Olga that he has chopped the wood, and Sergei offered him half ruble, and then he also offered the opportunity that he can every month he can come on the first of the. So, on the first of the month, the waif made his appearance and again earned half a ruble, although he could barely stand on his legs. From that day on, he often appeared in the yard. So, in this manner, on the very first day of the month, again that beggar came, he appeared, and he again was being given the work, and he though he was not being able to stand even properly, but then to now from that day onward, often Sergei found that the beggar used to come in the yard, and he used to get one or the other work. Okay, at that time work was found for him. Now he would shovel snow, now put the woodshed in order, now beat the dust out of rugs and mattresses. Every time he received from 20 to 40 kopecks, and once even a pair of old trousers were sent to him. So, in this manner, the beggar was being given one or the other small petty jobs which were being required to be done, and every time he was being given some, he was being paid off for that job, and even he was being given one pair of trousers also for as a charity. When Sergei moved into another house, he hired him to help in packing and hauling of the furniture. So, one day what happened, Sergei was changing, he was shifting to another house, and at that moment this beggar was being called to help in the various packing and or loading the furniture. Hauling the furniture means loading it, moving it. Okay. So, this time the waif was sober. Waif is the person who is homeless. Okay. So, he was sober, gloomy and silent. So, he was quite sad and he was very silent because his source of earning from where he used to come and work and get some amount. So that now that source of earning was now will not be available for him. So with that thought, probably he was being sad. He hardly touched the furniture and walked behind the wagons, hanging his head, not even making a pretense of appearing busy. He only shivered in the cold and became embarrassed when the carters jeered at him for his idleness, his feebleness, and his tattered fancy overcoat. After the moving was over, Sergei sent for him. So he was very reluctant, he was hardly been working, even he was not even pretending that he was been participating in that complete work, and in a very ashamed manner he was been sitting idle over there. And after the work was been done, finally Sergei called him. Well, I am happy that my words have taken effect, he said, handing him a ruble. Here's for your pains. I see you are sober and have no objection to work. What is your name? So here Sergei was in a very sympathetic manner. He offered a ruble, though he knew that he was not been working in a very effort manner. He did not put lots of effort, but then too, and he was a bit in a sympathetic manner. He asked his name. Lashkov. Well, Lashkov, I can now offer you some other cleaner employment. Can you write? So he came out with his name and he introduced himself as Lashkov. So Sergei was asking him about whether can you write, and if so, that if you can write, he can arrange another set of job which will be probably better and cleaner one. Okay, I can. Then take this letter to a friend of mine tomorrow and you will be given some copying to do. Work hard, don't drink, and remember what I have said to you. Goodbye. So finally Sergei gave him a note, a letter which was being to be handed over to one of his friends, so that he can get a job of copying the notes of for that person. And in this manner, with that letter, finally Sergei paid off his goodbye to him. Pleased at having put a man on the right path, Sergei tapped Lashkov kindly on the shoulder and even gave him his hand at parting. Lashkov took the letter and from that day forth came no more to the yard for work. So finally Lashkov see-offed Sergei, and Sergei just in a sympathetic manner he patted on the shoulders and he even shook hand, and finally from on that day onward they did not find any of the appearance of Lashkov in their backyard. Okay. 2 years went by. Then one evening, as Sergei was standing at the ticket window of a theatre paying for his seat, he noticed a little man beside him with a coat collar of curly fur and a worn sealskin cap. This little individual timidly asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery and paid for it in copper coins. So one evening what happened, Sergei, he was been standing in a queue just opposite to the theatre window for a ticket, and what he found that a very shy, very small and like a weak personality, a short person was been standing, and he was wearing a curly fur coat with a collar of curly fur, and he was been wearing a sealskin cap also, and he was been asking for a seat in the gallery and offering the he was paying in copper coins. Okay. Lashkov, is that you? Cried Sergei, recognizing in the little man his former wood chopper. How are you? What are you doing? How is everything with you? So Sergei immediately was been able to identify him to be Lashkov, and he was altogether he started asking few questions of his well-being, how he is been and what exactly he. All right, I am a notary now. and I am paid 35 rubles a month. So Leshkov now has turned to be a notary, and he was being well paid. Now he was being paid 35 rubles. So he just told about that how he is well off, and he has come out of that state of misery, and now he is no more a beggar. Thank heaven, that's fine. I am delighted for your sake. I am very, very glad, Leshkov. So you see, you are my godson in a sense. I gave you a push along the right path, you know. Do you remember what a roasting I gave you? Ah, I nearly had you sinking into the ground at my feet that day. Thank you, old man, for not forgetting my words. So finally, Leshkov was just trying to came out. He was boasting about that how good, how nice he was, and because of his efforts and the way he made this man to realize that he should work, he should not beg, and then offering him the job, and finally after those petty jobs he was being offered a cleaner job, and finally because of Sergei's efforts now he has transformed a beggar into a respectable man probably. So Sergei was been trying to praise himself in front of Leshkov and trying to make him realize that see, I am a person who has now acted as a godfather to you. So with this note, finally reply, thank you too, said Leshkov. So Leshkov was also thankful and in a very regardful manner he was just trying to feel gratified of his efforts, and then he revealed something more. If I hadn't come to you, then I might still have been calling myself a teacher or a student to this day. Yes, by flying to your protection, I dragged myself out of a pit. He realizes and he admits also, he acknowledges Sergei's efforts, Sergei's the pitiful and sympathetic aspect of his, that because of him only he was been there, and he really admire his efforts towards making him to come out of that state of begging where he was been just cooking stories and asking for alms. I am very glad indeed. Thank you for your kind words and deeds. I am very grateful to you and to your cook. God bless that good and noble woman. You spoke finely then, and I shall be indebted to you to my dying day. But strictly speaking, it was your cook Olga who saved me. So now Leshkov, he comes out, he was thanking Sergei again for all his efforts, and then he comes out that even I am more thankful to that noble woman who was very kind at her heart, Olga, the cook of yours, because she is the actual person to whom I am in debt of, means that I credit her more even for her the way she supported me, and it was her, because of her I changed my ways. She was the person who actually motivated me, who is the real reason for me to make me a respectable man. Which, how is that? So Sergei was very surprised to find Olga to be the reason behind his transformation, and he was been offering his gratification towards Olga. When I used to come to your house to chop wood, she used to begin, oh you miserable creature, there's nothing for you but ruin. And then she would sit down opposite to me and grow sad, look into my face and weep. Now, so he always used to find Olga to be very worried about, bothered about the state of this beggar of Lashkov, and she used to really feel very sympathetic, and she used to feel the pain of Lashkov deep into her heart, and she used to cry even for Lashkov. Oh, you unlucky man! There is no pleasure for you in this world, and there will be none in the world to come. You drunkard, you will burn in hell. Oh, you unhappy one. And so she would cry on, in that strain. So she was always been worried about that, why you are into this state, why you cannot come out of this habit of drinking, and because of your drinking habits you have been a drunkard, and you have spoiled your life, you have ruined your life. Okay, and she just used to carry out the work, and she used to cry for even him. I can't tell you how much misery she suffered, how many tears she shed for my sake. But the chief thing was she used to chop the wood for me. So, just not that she was feeling very miserable for the state of the way the Lashkov was leading his life, the way he has ruined his life, but also she actually was doing his job. Every time whenever he used to come, she used to chop the wood. Do you know, sir, that I did not chop one single stick of wood for you? She did it all. So every time whenever he used to come, the person was Olga who was actually chopping the wood, and he was being remunerated for. Sergei used to pay off Lashkov, but actually the work was being done by the cook Olga. Why this saved me? Why I changed? Why I stopped drinking at the sight of her? I can't explain. So at that, the way Olga was feeling pain, and the way she used to feel sympathetic about Lashkov made him to feel that he should certainly think about his own life, and that made him to change, and her face was the motivating factor for Lashkov to change his ways. I only know that owing to her words and noble deeds, a change took place in my heart. So because of her efforts, because how the painful she used to feel about myself, and the way she was always been putting her efforts in order to make me to earn some money, made him to change his heart. She set me right, and I shall never forget it. And this is how Lashkov started giving his gratitude to the efforts that Olga made in his life. However, it is time to go now. There goes the bell. Lashkov bowed and departed to the gallery. So finally, after this conversation, altogether the theatre bell rang, and finally he just paid his gratitude, and he bowed down, he thanked Sergei, and he just left for the gallery. And in this manner, finally, the Sergei was being revealed that the efforts of Olga was altogether more great than what Sergei has done for Lashkov. So it was Olga who was the actual hero who transformed this beggar into a respectful man. So this was our story written by Anton Chekhov. So students, I would suggest you please prepare the chapter and the PDF also. Thank you very much.